we're back. We're back, everyone. I know it was a long gap between videos. How sad, but sometimes I do have homework. I am in school. So, I'm Daniel.
And I'm Julia.
Yay! And today we'll be talking about the National Museum of Scotland.
Wait, does that mean it's actually a nation?
Oh, man. Oh,
England might disagree.
Oh, the separatists. No, that's a different video. That's a different
Right.
All right, let's get this thing rolling. So, beautiful main room. Can we kind of describe why and...
Well, we like ceilings, and we like being on the top floor, starting museums on the top floor.
Absolutely. Always start a museum on the top floor.
This was just absolutely breathtaking. Like, I loved it so much. I'm like, I'm going to take some pictures of this. It's beautiful.
So, if we were kind of describe the museum just a little bit, this is the main corridor through here. And off of different sides are different wings.
And because it is a national museum, it has both natural history stuff.
Yep.
It's got
ancient history.
History. It's got art stuff in there. It's got feature exhibits.
So the normal, rational way to go through a museum like this would be to go to one wing and do all the floors of it. But you see, we're not. Are we?
We're not really rational.
We start at the top. We wrap around, and then we wrap around again. So sometimes we'd be seeing exhibits dealing with airplanes, and other times we would just turn the corner and be back to animals.
Yep.
So it took some work making the slideshow back to something coherent. So that also caused time. Let's go.
So, okay.
Animals.
Yeah, we start off with some extinct stuff.
The dodo.
The dodo.
Poor dodo.
And then, of course, my favorite dinosaur was just the Stegosaurus. So,
hello, Steggy.
My little Stegosaurus. So, I got that in. More fossils. This is just marine animals, I believe.
Right. What's interesting is this has... I don't know if you can see it through the glare, but they actually have drawn on this. This was on a whale that they have drawn on the ivory. Mm-hmm. There was this whole art form, and then, of course, we realized that this is a bad thing to probably be killing whales to do. But, so we didn't have random bones lying around to draw ship motifs on. All right.
Of course, animals. Lots of taxidermied animals.
Right. Some of them are not taxidermied, like the ones in this.
Clearly are just models or whatever.
Right, to give you a scale of how big things are. And then over here, definitely taxidermied. Mm-hmm. In fact, this was my pet. No, I can't. I'm just being silly.
We wanted to point out it was a very kid-friendly place.
And we were lucky to be there on a time when there weren't many kids around, so that's why the shots look luckily free of kids.
Yeah, kids, because we normally don't
that's kind of a weird thing.
Put things with kids on. But it's very interactive, very modern, so...
they can climb in here. This is a whole playground.
Yep, and to the right you can see the little orange thing in the corner there. That's a touch screen where the kids can learn about all different
and it's not even
animals.
The only touch screen. So this is a fairly large area, and it's not their only one. But they can just hang out here. I'm moving on. Human impact.
So one of their biggest exhibits that they had was talking about human impact and how, pollution had altered our world.
It's climate change, but it's also everything else, which brings us to this.
So,
what are you pointing at, Julia?
I am pointing at a species of bird that had gone extinct from the island of Molokai. It was a bird that was indigenous to the island.
And no longer exists.
You
were pretty choked up at the moment.
I was a little choked up. So the whole list is in memorandum of different species of animal and wildlife that had gone
Just
modern
like
extinct.
We see lists of people in memory. Mm-hmm. These have the year that was when the last member passed away of the species.
So that was a little heartbreaking.
And for all the different natural histories, this was the first time we had seen something so direct as this.
Mm-hmm.
Scotland doesn't flinch.
And of course, so this was really interesting.
Evolution.
Yeah, they talk about evolution, DNA. So again, as you can see on the right there, it's very interactive. Little games for kids to really kind of understand.
Clever display feature. What she's actually holding is a scanner that's scanning the barcode, and it's telling you what percentage of DNA we share. So clever technology.
Very
here.
clever. And then to the left there, it actually answers the age-old question, which came first, the chicken or the egg? The answer is the egg.
Yes.
The egg evolved, and then a chicken popped out of it.
Right.
So,
before that, it was not a chicken that laid that egg.
Right. So there you go. Something really cute for all to learn.
Yes.
Yes. Next is
to the stars.
Astronomy type things.
Yes.
So this was a really cool globe-like thing. You can't tell, but it does turn.
In several different ways.
So
you could see the night sky.
Yeah.
Angular.
It's really cool.
Right,
and of course,
awesome.
constellations on the right there. And then more constellations, and of course... meteorites. And it's low to the ground. It's exposed, and they actually have signs that encourage you to touch them.
Yeah.
And to actually
Another
feel
point for them being
what it... Yeah. And just more of these really cool ancient rocks. There were some kids around, and the kids were just absolutely chuffed to be able to touch these really, really awesome space things.
Oh.
And moving on to other
more minerals and rocks.
Yeah, that thing is huge. On the right or left there. Is it just a giant amethyst?
Just a giant geode that, is more impressive.
So not everything was allowed to be touched. So the one on the right is behind glass. These ones obviously you can touch, but the one on the right is an example of things that you weren't allowed to touch. So
there's glass and it's bulletproof.
But these ones you could touch. These ones they encourage you to touch. Anything out in the open, they encourage you to touch. So
next section, I told you.
Yeah, crazy.
Is all about flight.
And innovation.
Innovation in
general, but it's specifically
Scottish
flight.
engineers have done a lot for the world. So they wanted to talk about enough of the Wright brothers. Let's show you what other things have been invented in terms of flight. Not everything came out of Ohio. Is that the politically correct? In North Carolina? All right. So it's just a giant hall with different steps.
Yep. Very cool. All the different stuff. And other innovations as well, rockets and all of that.
And now we get to some of the work on the Super Collider, the Hadron Collider that ended up finding the Higgs boson and trying to explain it.
And another note, you can touch these dials. These were all, you could touch all that. So that was really cool for kids as well. A little bit more of like chemistry
and the older
sciences
to show how they've always been. Where did penicillin come from?
And of course the microscope and all of that.
Sure.
So
we know the most famous person for a lot of these things, but we forget that a lot of famous inventions are step by step.
Yep.
If you invented a better way to do something that was then improved upon to our current design, we forget how many middle steps there were. Dozens. And these were important to get us where we were, but they're not the ones that were the first step. So we're like, history forgets them, but this museum did not. So 1,000 points to this museum.
Very neat. This is all just kind of cool, like I think this is electricity type things.
And it's super. We wanted to just point out that, again, these are interactive things for kids, different age groups, which is also important. Eric Erickson would be very impressed. No?
Yeah.
Stages of development. Okay.
So moving on to art. First we got... This was just really cool. This was an entire wall.
Yeah, this is huge.
As you can see, there is a blockade to it, but there is an interactive little touch screen there that you can learn a little bit more
About the history of this thing, how
there.
they took an entire giant wooden fireplace. Okay.
Ancient objects. I love my ancient stuff.
Sure.
So I had to showcase a couple pieces from that.
Absolutely.
A few more ancient things there. Some statues.
Oh, look how pretty. On the right, you'll see just gorgeous. Oh, and the purple.
Just a little bit of me there. Now this was really cool. I can't quite remember the history of that rug, but it's all encased, and it was
all the way
it's
around.
not made in pieces. It's just one giant piece of woven.
It's a tapestry.
It was crazy big, and this was the best I could do for an angle.
Yeah, there was no single shot because you can't stand over it like Mission Impossible, just kind of hanging down, right? So, but it is enormous,
and it took up most of the floor
right.
space.
Normal people's houses, this couldn't fit in any space.
And
so this Islamic art was quite impressive.
Oh, the Islamic art was absolutely gorgeous. So, yes. Moving on to their special exhibits, they had a whole section of
flippy.
Just Asian stuff. So, some statues there, some history. But
we are pretty far from Asia, so they need a little help.
Yeah, so
a little more context.
I put we put a little bit of the information and then the items that they had. So we've got obviously Korea here with a whole explanation of what these items were. We've got China and finally Japan.
Right.
So
everybody's favorite Asian.
Everybody's favorite Asians.
Am I allowed to say that? I think you're allowed to say it.
I'm allowed to say it, I guess maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm not allowed to say that either.
50-50.
Yeah. But they help themselves by having both Buddhism and Hinduism information.
Yes. So
there we go.
A lot of regional context.
And of course, Egypt.
Everybody loves Egypt.
Everybody loves ancient
Manchester
Egypt.
really loves Egypt.
Everybody has an Egypt section. I mean, I do too. It's all the ancient stuff that's great. They were really, really good about sharing the colonized parts of the time periods of Egypt, as well as their independence and their really cool artwork here. And of course, we thought that was really clever with the Empire Strikes Back.
Because really it's the whole history of what's going on. Which
kind
is
of the
sometimes
timeline.
Not shown.
Yeah.
Just like our rant in Manchester.
And of course, anybody who's seen The Mummy can recognize what those little statues on the bottom there are. It was actually kind of nice to know that part of the movie was actually true.
Yes.
They really did put
a person came back from the grave
part.
to that part. I wasn't sure where you were going, but I'm like, yeah, no, it all happened.
It was the second Mummy movie, actually.
Oh, that one was the true one.
Yeah.
Scorpion King is just really hanging out somewhere right now.
And then finally we have Oceania, which was really awesome to see.
Very unexpected, I might confess.
We had not seen such an extensive layout of history for Oceania, especially for Hawaii. And
you can immediately see they have things specifically for Hawaii. Well, maybe I need to flip slides. Shall I?
Yeah, go ahead. But here, colonizing the Pacific, again, they don't shy away from any of that information.
No flinching here.
No. So, and of course...
And they're showing the islands as separate, not one monolith, which is also appreciated.
Yes.
I will say this was a special exhibit, and we lucked out. I don't believe this was permanent.
This was not a permanent exhibit.
But
so
look how cool it was that we were there
cool
for it. I don't know if you went today, if you would see it, because today was not the day we went.
All right, and I think this is our final slide.
So
it was a giant wall. It was the full wall map of Oceania, and there's Daniel pointing out Hawaii.
Right.
So
To give, like, we're actually, this is home, right? And everything. So we were pretty chuffed about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because, first, maps aren't always centered on Hawaii
No.
and the Pacific in general. So it's a nice that Scotland, of all places, felt the need to talk about it in this kind of inclusive way. We really enjoyed this video. Didn't we?
Awesome. Very
Yes.
awesome. This was just
Definitely.
0.01% of what this museum has to offer.
It's a huge museum. Great food,
gigantic.
even.
Oh yes, the food was good too.
And don't
Yeah,
forget the food.
don't forget the food. We just didn't take any pictures.
And we
of
don't
it.
take pictures in gift shops, but they have
Yeah.
great gifts too. Very cheap, actually. Actually, very cheap. Not snarky.
Yeah.
And so I guess it's time to sign off. That's
time
it.
to sign- yeah, we're good.
All right.
Okay.
Till next time.
Till next time, everybody. Bye.
Bye.